You know what I love about van life? Pulling up to a spot to spend the night, blinded by darkness. Other than the trees and rocks in your immediate vicinity, you have no clue what the morning holds. The anticipation is like Christmas, waiting for the moment when the light unwraps your presents for the day. Tonight, during the cover of nightfall, I'll be testing out a new lightweight barbecue. Some places I boondock have fire restrictions, and I also do my best to leave no trace where I've been. So this little fire pit should make our lives a bit better on those long, cold and dark Canadian winter nights. Fire has a magic to it. It's something I can't quite put into words. If you've found yourself staring infinitely into the dancing flames, you probably know what I mean. It's not often we can harness the significant power of nature, but fire is and was one of the first major steps forward that we took on our way to standing upright. I believe that with that power, we have a responsibility to leave as small of a footprint as we can. So I've always been an advocate of simple fires. As Boy Scouts, we unquestionably got our jollies from raging fires built from stacks of pallets. But as we grew, we were taught the difference between what our scout leaders described as a white man fire and an Indian fire. I'm certain those terms are not politically correct anymore, but one thing was certain: those who came before us certainly had a perspective for respecting their surroundings. As I grew, it became apparent that there was little need for large fires. Big enough to cook on was big enough for me. On Amazon, this barbecue looked just about perfect. With a fire bed that is 13 inches square, it can throw enough heat to keep a handful of people warm when huddled around it. It can also hold enough coals to cook pretty much anything, from marshmallows to steak. It's also raised high enough to leave the ground untouched. As anyone living in a van knows, space matters. Everything I carry has to pack into a compact footprint, so the fact that this packs into a 14-inch by 6-inch bag that is less than an inch thick was a major selling point for me. Well, I think that grill works pretty good. These sausage fried up nice. I probably could have let the coals get a little deeper before I started cooking them. But yeah. Cooked all the way through. And as windy as it was, it did quite well. I really am impressed. For 40 bucks. That's a winner. This is my step 2. Sparkling water, blueberry pomegranate. Blue menu from President's Choice. Stuff's pretty good. Oh yeah. Normally I don't eat when the bed's in bed mode. I don't like crumbs in my bed. But tonight, snowing outside, not miserable, but you can really feel the cold setting in, the snowstorm coming. It's nice to have everything ready when you're done without having to do any fussing around. I also have to say, this light is pretty sweet. I can change the color temperature, I can change the strength. Puts out a lot of light. Runs off of a standard battery that a lot of this photography equipment runs off of. I really admire guys like Chrome, Van City Van Life. Man, to put out a vlog as often as he does, it's a lot of work. Even just, you know, messing around here tonight with the camera, it takes a lot of effort to do everything, to do it all at once, filming and cooking. I have to say, I'm impressed. I got a respect for those guys who can do this regularly. So as I get ready for bed tonight, I'm probably not going to bother using the heater. I just got it all hooked up again. I had to replace the fuel tank because the way they have those drains plumbed on the bottom, if you have a problem with it, it leaks everywhere. So I got a new tank, tapped it from the top so that there's no way for it to leak. I need to charge my phone tonight. So I'm going to plug in my USB cord and turn on the power to the USB. Well, I think it's time to start getting ready for bed. I usually don't turn on the heater until it's at least -5 or 10 degrees Celsius below freezing. I use 2 of these. They're Costco down blankets. They were $30. I think they're the same size as a queen bed with no overhang. So not huge, but not small, just about the right size. 2 people can fit under one okay. They are phenomenal. And I actually might have only brought 1, but I also have 2 fleece blankets. So between the 3 of those, I'll be more than warm enough. I'll turn that like that so you can see a bit better. Also have this camp pillow in addition to my regular pillow, which is nice to give it some height. Time to get changed. That part you don't get to watch. Actually, before I get changed, I'm going to put up the window coverings. They will help reduce condensation. Not that we'll get much, but it also does a really good job of keeping the heat in as well. If I can remember which side is which. There we go. Nope. Yep, just had it upside down. Now these literally just tuck into the corners. They're held on by friction, not by magnets or anything like that. No Velcro. I find that with the factory door panels, they hold in quite well. But that's my only issue with this van, is that it's kind of small. Other than that, everything's perfect. Small isn't even that bad, but if there's one thing I wish I had, it would be the ability to stand up. I don't need it very often, because often I can just stand up outside. But yeah, that's my one wish once in a while. Well, here we are ready for bed. 2 fleece blankets, a down blanket. I'm gonna have some delicious blackberries. For fall, blackberries are not too bad. In August, you can pick them right off the trees in Squamish. They're everywhere there. They grow like weeds. So amazing. Highly recommended. Prevent scurvy. almost every night I turn my fridge off. It's a cool box fridge, not a regular compressor fridge. So if I leave it on when it's cold, it actually has a differential from the exterior temperature. And if it's 0 degrees in here, it'll be like minus 20 in there, and it'll freeze everything. My eggs, all that, I don't want to get frozen. So I usually just turn it off. I want to get a thermostat so that it can turn itself off and on depending on the interior temperature. That'll also save a lot of electricity. I seldom get to the end of my batteries. I've only ever been close to there once after sitting still for 4 days. But I will likely install that just to make my batteries go further. I've got 2 100 amp hour AGM batteries, and they do quite well for me. Well, I think I'm going to watch some Netflix and go to sleep. Have a great night. We'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning. It was a nice night. A little chilly outside, but inside was toasty warm. Didn't get quite as much snow as I was hoping we would get. I'm just actually unpacking everything, and you can see we're parked on the banks of the lovely Lake Abraham. You've probably seen it in pictures. All winter long, methane bubbles rise from the bottom, and as it freezes, the bubbles freeze in layers. So when the ice is smooth and clear on top, you can see these layers of bubbles. But yeah, it's really cool. Anyways, it's a great place to wake up. Also, when you don't have wheel chocks, you make do. Last night, I realized that this was a fairly uneven surface when I parked, so I found a rock, and that actually made it pretty steady. Well, I'm going to start a bit of a fire here, just for fun. I want to keep trying this new fire pit, see how easy it is to work with, and then I'm going to be making some breakfast and hitting the road further into the mountains. We'll catch up to you in a bit. Random camping is one of the greatest things that I think we have in really any country you live. If you have the ability to do it, you need to take advantage of that. Random camping is essentially places you can just kind of pull up and camp wherever you want. It's important that you practice principles like leave no trace, because random camping can turn south really quick, as we found in some areas during COVID. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, people need to get out. They need to see and experience all of this. There's so much beauty out here, so much space. Actually, I see some garbage over there I'm gonna have to go pick up. The other thing you have to be careful about in places like this is this might even be someone's latrine. So you never know what you're picking up, but all the more important to take your trash with you so someone else doesn't have to do something unsanitary or unsafe. I'll have to grab my garbage bag and come back. But this is in the David Thompson corridor in Alberta, just outside the Rocky Mountains. You can see them over there. That's Banff National Park. Jasper National Park is just a little bit north of there. This is probably one of the most underrated section of mountains and wilderness we have in Canada, except maybe some of the more remote places. I know there's some beautiful parks in the middle of nowhere that you can only fly to or hike for days or canoe for days. But this one, there's a highway running right through the middle of it. And people do come here, but it's out of the way, so most people don't even think about it. And there's so much open land to explore, to camp in. I literally just drove down here last night in the darkness. I saw a little dirt road, goat trail heading off this direction. The highway is probably about 500 meters that direction. And here I am. I pulled up, I could hear the water. I couldn't see anything, it was socked in, but this is the views you wake up to. Before I pack this up, I want to clean all of the sausage remnants off of it. It's one nice thing about heat. It kind of obliterates everything you don't want. Well, this fire pit's done pretty good. Just letting everything burn off now. Trying to keep this all close together so it can finish burning. There's definitely enough heat in there that charcoal is burning away. But I have to say, for a $40 fire pit, that's a pretty sweet little contraption. Yeah, it's almost cool to the touch. Well, it is cool to the touch pretty much everywhere now. That's definitely small enough that and dump all the ash out the bottom. Well, the hinges are a little stiff after being used, but seems to work okay still. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. They give me this handy little baggie. Got my axe blade protector there. I'm gonna start putting everything in. Okay, that's done too. Move the rest of these coals around. There's still some heat there, so I'm going to douse it with water. And that's good. Well, at some point during the night, someone drove up into here. Didn't come all the way in, but I thought I heard a vehicle at one point, but I looked outside and couldn't see anything. You can see campsites littered along here. Fire pits built with all the river rock. Goat trail here, goat trail there. So much to explore in here. Oh! Are there outhouses in there? I'm gonna go and look because that's not something you see every day out here. I'm looking for a building, but I don't see one. Well, I'm going to look into this further because it's not every day you see outhouses in like user maintained crown land areas. So let's go in here and do some digging, because if they had one, that'd be pretty sweet. It's hard to beat a free place to stay that also has bathrooms. There's some yellow or some pink tags here. I'm going to follow those and see if that doesn't lead me somewhere. It's an obvious trail. Oh, and some critters have definitely been around here. Some paw prints that are unquestionable. Oh, well, would you look at that? It's not the classiest of spots, but it sure would do the trick. I'm impressed. Well, all the more reason to come up here. It's a great area, it's beautiful. You're just outside of the national parks, which normally has campgrounds that are like freaking booked solid all the time. So yeah, I would definitely say try this. I'm telling you reluctantly because it is kind of nice having it all to ourselves. But at the same time, this is our country. Belongs to all of us. Come put it to work. It's here for us, but take care of it. Well, what a spot to stay for the night. And cars on the highway. This is how easy it is to get into this user-maintained area. Oh, don't be sad. I would leave you behind.